Welcome to Mindfully Integrative Podcast with your host, Dr. Damaris G. Mindfully Integrative is a podcast discussing ways toward mindfully incorporating integrative health into our lives. This podcast will have informative resources, fun topics, interviews, and discussions relatable for today with a true mindful perspective in a mind-body, holistic life approach.
I'm just recording the topic about energy, so that's what I'm Yeah. And that is where we're at today. Okay, so 5 common things when it comes to energy production. And so think of it like, what are the core principles that cause us energy dysfunction? What is also the starts bioenergetics of it and the body and how it produces. So what does that mean? We'll also talk about the phase of transformation in your life and what does that mean? So that is the topics for today. So when I'm talking about mitochondria dysfunction, I am talking about the cells have little mitochondria that are energy producing for the rest of the body. And inside the cells, I call them the powerhouse, and it affects your overall metabolism. Can affect a lot of chronic disease and illness. It's reason and so important. It helps metabolism, oxidative stress, supports signaling, ways to, get rid of any excess. So they call it alpha-lipoic, which is getting rid of any of the cellular or growing. So there's apophagia, but when your mitochondria are disrupted and they call it dysfunctional, like dysfunction, and what I'll use for that word dysfunction for me, it means that they don't have as much production of energy. They are not able to decrease your stress levels and accumulate a lot of waste. And then eventually other inflammatory and metabolic disorders come into play. Now, main things that come up in this usually are symptoms, and most people will find that this actually coincides with other illnesses. You'll see a lot of individuals with chronic fatigue, brain fog, muscle weakness, poor recovery, headaches, hormonal imbalances, insulin-resistant weight issues, mood disorders. A lot of things that come up with this are a lot of chronic fatigue syndrome, ME, fibromyalgia, some cardiovascular issues due to the oxidative stress, Alzheimer's, inflammatory issues. Now, when people talk about root cause of treatments, that really comes down to where is it lying, where are the infections, where is the chronic illness, and how long has it been going on? Now, are we fixing it, preventing, or managing it? So sometimes you can fix it early on, sometimes you can, manage it, and some of it is you can prevent. So prevent, manage, or some of it is, keeping it limited. Now, the problem is that some people think that everything is, you can get rid of, like, for example, diabetes type 2. That is not, you can manage it and keep it almost at bay, but that doesn't mean once you have type 2 diabetes, you can really put it in remission, but you still may have it as a disorder. So you can still pop up in your genetics. Nutrition-wise, what are you going to do for most of these mitochondrial health issues? They are usually anti-inflammatory and supportive foods or supplements to help with that. Main ones that are real key are CoQ10, ALA, which is an alpha-lipoic acid, which is really good for circulatory, inflammatory. CoQ10 works in many things. I've done it for fertility, inflammatory issues, cardiac, acetyl-L-carnitine, magnesium, a bunch of the B vitamins, creatine, things of that nature. Now, ways of improving, now this can be like across the board improvement. You can use lifestyle treatments like red light therapy, intermittent fasting, and I'm a big intermittent fasting fan. Cold exposure, I don't know necessarily cold exposure is I'm not a fan of that for everyone. I think it could be beneficial a little bit, but too much of it can actually bring cortisol levels or wonk the cortisol. Grounding, I'm a big fan of. So what grounding is you're going to put your feet on the ground, the actual earth, and sit with it and kind of reset yourself. I'm going to be outside maybe later today live if I can. And then quality sleep. So quality sleep can vary. Like actually last night, would you believe I really didn't get good quality sleep? My cortisol levels were a little off. And within reason, I had a lot of things that were on my mind and I had to transition that. So what do? I don't take medicines. I do take some supplements as needed, or I will take some peppermint tea. I will look for some digestion because I noticed I was having little digestion stuff. And then I will take in some chamomile or a cortisol reset. So, having good quality sleep is a big factor too. And then different labs that I may do for individuals when I'm checking some of this mitochondrial changes. I will do an oat test, Dutch test. There's a metabolomics test by Genova that I've used before. And it'll kind of let me know what the markers are. So they're pretty more extensive. Not everybody needs these tests, but they're useful. Things that you can do to help support your energy levels, especially when they're low. Salmon, avocados, Brussels sprouts, broccoli sprouts. Hey, nice to meet you. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate you. Some types of fermented foods, protein intake. How do you avoid some of these? It could be, oh, nice to meet you. You're welcome to come in and say hello. I think you're avoiding sugars. You're trying to move and find mindfulness ways, those kind of things. Now, this comes up for an individual because these 5 core energy sucking kind of thing, when you're thinking about the decrease of your mitochondrial energy, most people will have significant fatigue, they'll have burnout, low mood. I can definitely understand when that comes up for me. So when that does come up, I do gotta, go to my foods, go to my, supplements as needed, and make sure I have proper adequate nutrition to bring my body up. Not to mention that I have an iron deficiency issue. But think about the 5 cores of like fatigue. You're feeling kind of burned out, depleted. Depression happens for these individuals. Their inflammatory processes, their SSRIs are low. Things are just not working necessarily properly. A little bit of headaches. The reason the CoQ10 and magnesium work is that they're vasodilators, so let them open up the vessels. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming in. How are you? I hope you're having a good day. Thanks, Carly. I might connect with anyone that comes in and says hello. I appreciate that. So neurogenetic disorders like Parkinson's or MS, the reason these are energetically fragile is because you've impaired the transporting systems that give the neurons the benefits to work more. And the hallmark signs there is like this is when it's really severe that the executive functions start changing, your memory starts changing, the inflammatory response. And then complex pain disorders are also affected from the mitochondria. This you can actually find there's always going to be a genetic component to some of this, but then there will be some parts where it can be improved with dietary supplements and prevention of some, or in learning how to manage. So that's a factor too. How do you link this? Like, what can you do to help these individuals that may already be challenged? So when I talk a ton about protein, I talk about, so that the macros are fats, carbohydrates, and protein with a little bit of, if the pyramid was put properly and our foods were discussed properly, when you have the adequate amount of carbs, the good carbs, the adequate amount of fats, the adequate amount of proteins, you would do well. So proteins are, breaking down into amino acids. The carbs turn into sugar. And then if I get real biochemistry, like with you, the different energies then produce, and the fatty acids, the different energy there is NAD, FAD. You'll hear a lot about the big hype now is NAD plus, NAM. And the thing there is, if you can increase your NAD, then your cellular reproduction and cellular regeneration is improved. So when you look at that at a cellular level, then you start doing that long term, you'll know that your body will your body will improve. So it's when you're giving your body the correct amount of things, or if you find that so my job as a provider that sees individuals is that to see if there's any sort of disconnect there, if it's just food related, or is there an actual some sort of pathway that I can maybe improve for that person. Yeah, so that's where I try, because it's complex. Hi, good morning, thanks for coming in. I really appreciate you just stopping in. Thanks so much. Very nice. My goal is to at least give you some information. Some things here are a little bit complex, but don't in any way feel, you can't get a takeaway, because I want you to be take away and learn some ways. The next big component, thinking about mitochondrial energy and how it's produced, think of it like the carbs, B vitamins, the fats. Energy is produced usually with vitamins of niacin, riboflavin. Ways to get more of that energy back. When someone's I'm depleted, how do I improve it? You want to improve your macronutrients, but you want to have it with good quality macronutrients. So macronutrients is carbs, fats, proteins. They provide the fuel. So if I just had protein, my body would not be able to break everything down, because it still needs carbs and fats, but it needs it in the right manner. Now, micronutrients have to do with vitamins, minerals, and cofactors. And those are the things that help run the machine, help run it to get going. And when you have a nice symbiotic, good balance, the cofactors and the carbs work together. So think of it like your carbs are the pathway to the energy. So it helps glucose, then turns into breaking down and called glycolysis, and then it goes into the, Krebs cycle and stuff. And I don't want to go too much into that, but think of it, the fastest way is you're getting fastest source to generate energy. Then you've got fats. Now, fats are like omega-3s, and that helps with, may need some cofactors. Now, protein is amino acids that are broken down and then go into the Krebs cycle. The Krebs cycle is the whole idea of producing energy. And you'll probably hear a little car racing around too, and it's going to help people. So the micronutrients, let's think, I'll talk a little bit about micronutrients. I hope you guys can hear me okay. So micronutrients that it's important for the body. You talk about B vitamins. So all of the B vitamins are pretty important. B12, B1, thiamine. It helps lower the fatigue. B2, it helps with, it's a precursor in that. So all of these cofactors are going to help improve kind of the machine. So that think of it's like these screws or their oil, so that it oils the machine, so that Krebs cycle, think of that as maybe the engine that will help keep going. These cofactor micronutrients will help keep that shuttle, that engine running properly. It needs the right amount of oil, it needs the right amount of parts, it needs the right amount of things to work together. The right amount of nutrients. So when I tell you and say that nutrient dense foods are super important, and majority of the time we don't have the adequate amount, I can tell you 100%, myself included, if you don't have the right amount of vitamins, nutrients, and food intake, you're going to be depleted. And then over time, it becomes a vicious cycle. So adequate ones in this for energy production and getting you back into, so if you were having tired, fatigued, these would be B vitamins, magnesium, iron. So for me, I'm iron deficient. So I always have to be pretty pretty adamant about taking my iron because I actually have iron deficiency anemia in general. I have to work on my microbiome, which we talked about previously other time. And alpha-lipoic acid carnitine is transport for mitochondria. Glutathione, zinc, psyllium, manganese. Thanks for coming in. What causes these imbalances? Most people don't even realize that they have an imbalance or why they have an imbalance. Thanks so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Why do you have an imbalance? Usually it's because of poor diet. Medications, there's medications of statins, CoQ10s, metformin can cause B12 loss, toxins like heavy metals, chronic stressors, alcohol, overtraining, undertraining, doing too little, too less. That can always be a factor too. And then how do you improve it? So most of the time is I will check these individuals for micronutrient testing. If I, initially worked on their dietary issues, and I may do a stool testing, and then I will do an oat or Dutch test too. Those are kind of the gist of those, just to kind of get an idea if there is a mitochondrial connection. And mitochondria usually pass through the mom, so genetic-wise, you'll know how you will do in where your mother's genetics are. So most of that and the deficiency. So let's talk oxidative stress. So with oxidative stress, you've got certain things that we can do that can reduce it, and certain things that you can do that will not help it. Think of it like oxidative stress is the things that are kind of cause the body to increase the cortisol, and excess then decreases your overall production of the energy. The sources of these problems come when, on a cellular level, the body doesn't have enough oxygen, and it damages the membranes of the cell. On a chronic inflammatory process, when it's too much inflammation, you've got, they call them NCAPAs or cytokines that causes an inflammatory response, which then that sustained amount of inflammation long-term can cause a reduction of energy and mitochondria. Environmental toxins such as mercury, arsenic, fluoride, and different environmental can have a direct poisoning of that energy in the mitochondria, and then can get like progress, possible at some point cancer-causing issues. Heavy metals, medications. There's a variety of medications that can cause issues. Nutritional deficiencies, like I had stated prior, and some of it is hyperglycemia or hyperinsulinemia, too much insulin within and sugar. Mitochondrial issues, and then aging. So overall, in the aging process, we will have changes, and there will be changes in your body. There will be changes that will eventually decrease the mitochondrial energy. And through time, that does happen. But can you improve it? Yes. With the NAD, with food intakes, and how you work with other, even additional skeletal muscle. Heavy metals that are pretty big in problematic for mitochondrial energy within. Usually when there's a lead overload, arsenic, that's usually, I have to tell people to really watch their rice. Mercury, that can come from fillings. Lead could be from paint, could just be exposure. Arsenic is like this, so the rice, and then cadmium, not too much, but sometimes that could be there too. Hi, Stephen, nice to meet you. Statins, if you hear my son in the background, that he's just playing. And then medications that usually are a problem for your energy levels, statins, types of pesticides that are out there, NSAIDs, too much Tylenol or Advil can also cause long disruption. But it's basically, think of it like too much of something can be like a lot, and when you have too much of it, it can be a problem. But many issues with it have to just think of it like erosion, like you have brain fog, you have fibromyalgia, because long-term, use of things, then has not been, and that never really has been improved or changed. So nice to meet you. Thanks for coming in. If you came in, I appreciate you. Thanks, babe. So, and I do see you coming in. So, and how to improve it. So I'm just kind of, going in the conversation of oxidative stress triggers. How do we improve that? What we can consume in the best manner to get there. And I usually tell people, when we can figure out where the nutritional deficiency are is where you can improve. So for example, when you look at a micronutrient testing, yes, okay, let's see what it is. All right, let's check it out. And then when you're talking about the, people ask you about like the big thing now is what, yeah, can I see that please? Can I see it? Can you bring it over here? And then when you're, okay, I have to put it in give me the ambulance. All right. So when we're talking about energy, you hear that as being energy production. It's my son. Ambulance is with me. All right. The next one's that one. Continue our conversation on mitochondrial function. So the mitochondria, how it maintains a homeostatic state so that we have the proper amount of energy. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming in. Is by bioenergetics, which means having the proper pathways, having the proper amount of like chemical ions that help with the signaling of the cells to then build and produce the right amount of energy or ATP. And in turn, that signaling is done by different components in the body. And these are such like iron, zinc, copper, glutathione. These are also used and helpful when you're using vitamin C, vitamin E in the body. Carrots, like a carotene, and ways that this is produced even more is by having that great amount of nutrient balance. So when we're having an imbalance, you'll hear someone, it gets a little bit complex, but when hey, nice to meet you, Ashley. What is up? How's it going? Hope your day is well. Mama, 36, what's up? Keep it up, girl. See what to do. You might hear my son in the background. So in energy formations, like we want the body to have the amount. Connor, can you go in? You okay? You okay? Oh, it's fine. It's all right. You'll hear my son in the background. He's just having fun with his ambulances. He's having a good time. Have fun, baby. Don't worry about it. So when I'm talking about energy, yes, my love. The hose keeps. Oh, we'll have to see if we can fix the hose. All right. So then let's just talk about quick tips on how to improve it. So most people just want to know, how do I improve my energy? Tirzepatide girls. Oh, nice. Good job. Hope you're doing well with it. Hope it's going well for you. Good. Married, wife. Yeah, keep it up. I hope your journey's been going well. I talk a ton about GLP-1s. I wrote a course on it. I'm an executive family NP, so you're welcome to ask me any questions that you have. Side effects, things, anything of that nature. I've also used the medications and also had microdoses of certain individuals for them. So, there's a variety of things you could do with it. Hope you're doing well. But if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask. How do we support energy production? How do we support it so it's in balance? Main ones and pretty easy ones. Think of it like avoiding processed sugars, seed oils, daily movement. I'm even wearing this vest, because anytime I'm even walking around the house, I'm wearing it so that I'm doing some sort of skeletal muscle, memory practicing mindfulness. I talk about that on a regular. How do you become mindful each and every day? Can you prioritize your sleep? And trying to get yourself into circadian rhythm. Now, how do you get yourself into circadian rhythm? What that means is hopefully with your jobs or your work and your life, you're able to close your eyes when it's dark out and open your eyes when it's light out. Now, if you're in an environment where it's mostly light or mostly dark, you want to keep that environment dark when you're sleeping and bring in more light when you are up. So the body can build up the amount of energy. Mommy? Yes, love bug. Yes, love bug. And then we're going to talk about the A's of transformation. To build up. Ooh, which one is that? Is that your helicopter? Are you going to help? Are you going to help people from that? Nice. A's for transformation. So if you do follow me, you'll know. I talk about the A's of straight A's for transformation. I talk about that a lot. And what I mean by that, hi, what's up? Thanks for coming in. And what I mean by that is, oh, what's up? How's it going? How you doing? Thanks for popping in. Thanks for sending a gift. I appreciate it. That's really sweet. So I'm talking about my last part of the topic for today is the A's in transformation. So you can get A's in your life by just following these 10 A's. And what I mean by that is when you can get A's in your life just by presenting yourself in the most positive way. My A's, and I live by this, are, thanks so much. Oh my gosh, let me pin you. Wait, I'm trying to see if I can pin you. Let me pin you. I can try to see. Oh yeah, I can pin you. Thanks so much, Millie. What up? How are you doing? What is your, I don't know if you're allowed to tell me your first name. But what's up? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. Joined and hasn't sent gifts. Oh, that's okay. You don't have to send me anything. I appreciate you just stopping in. Thank you very much for coming in. I am going over you'll hear my son's helicopter in the background. He is making transportation, right? Where are you going? Transport? He's doing a little transportation. And we're talking about awareness. So the 10 A's, I'll first tell you what they are. I'll spread them a little bit. So the 10 A's are awareness, action, alignment, accountability, acceptance, authenticity, attention, adaptability, appreciation, and abundance. You'd be surprised it's 10, but it is, and they're pretty effective. So awareness, this is being into your first step of transformation. And what that means is you're about to be present in the moment, in your breathing, when you're aware of your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. Now, the next step for that is action. So anyone can be aware, but if they don't take any actionable steps, then they're not going to make any change. Sorry, I cannot let you sit on your rock and meditate, but if you don't take an actionable step. So if you don't take a step, then the change won't happen. You do need to make those small steps every day to make a change. Now, how do you do that? Use actionable steps. One, you need to make change by you start making those little changes, right? One by one. Connor's making his little helicopter and he's making his little, and he's flying around, right? So we're doing that. Alignment. Now, how do you align yourself with the right people? You center yourself, your heart, mind, and body first. And then you can be the best version of yourself for someone else. So for me to be the best version of myself for others, I try to center myself. So before even coming on this live, I try to center myself. No day is perfect, and I don't think it ever will. And I think people have to just kind of present who they are each and every day when it's good and bad. And I'm here for you too. You need to converse and discuss on something. I'm here to hear you. I have let me know if you want to be a guest. I'm here to chat with you at some point and, connect with you and help guide you. Being accountable. When you can be accountable, taking responsibility for your actions, you'd be surprised how much change is there. Acceptance of things that you cannot change and accepting of things that are about yourself that's not perfect or things that you would like to make change to so that you can make more forward. Where are you going? And this one is accepting this helicopter to go make a mission. And then being authentic, like, who are you? How do you want to present yourself into this world right now? Being yourself and the most vulnerable is hard sometimes, and being who you are without feeling judged. That doesn't always work, but you know what? I have to tell you, it's okay. Like, I'm okay with who I am at this moment right now. Maybe I wasn't like that 10 years ago, but right here, right now, this is where I want to be. And I hope that if anything on this, I can help one person. Attention. This is about paying attention to detail, small and big, being attentive to yourself. As an individual that had pretty bad ADD and distractions and anxiety, I had a lot of trouble figuring out how to get that in tune. And it's a work in progress, right? It's always going to be something. And what it is when you start to become and take out some of the clutter and hone in. Like, that's why I try to do a topic per se, so that I'm not all over the place with a conversation, so that at least there's something that you guys can kind of, grab onto. And then that's not just for you, that's for me too. I didn't want to just be an engagement room, because I don't want it to, I want people to completely engage if they come in here. Absolutely. I would love that. But I do also want to have some sort of, resources for you. And the last one there is, after you pay attention, is adaptability. So how do you adapt to your environment? No, that's the last one. Adaptability is the 8th one. It's about adapting to different environments, adapting to how to roll with the punches, how to make change when things happen, right? I didn't think my son would be home today, and I thought I'd go do this by myself, but I wasn't able to. But that's okay. I'm going to invite Stephanie. She's not busy. She's not going to come in. Appreciating different things in your life. Right now I'm trying to appreciate this time I have with my little one. He's only going to be young for so long. Eventually, I think he's not going to want to be around me, play and just connect. So, I just want to be able to give him that and be happy with where you are, good and bad, wherever that may be. Middle age said, "Oh, thank you. Let me pin you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. That's really sweet." And abundance. This is about living your life in abundance of, like, not being afraid to receive, not be afraid to give, and not be afraid to make change, right? And what is this one? Oh, this one's making a rescue up here. So he's abundantly always wanting to help. And I hope that I guide and connect and bring him the most supportive love that I can for him, so that when he's in the world, that he can also find that for others. So on that note, those are the conversation of mitochondrial energy, the energy in our life, and what we produce when we're having a good day or bad day, and how to reset it. Like I said, I had a rough night, but how do I reset that day so that I can get to the next moment? Airbag. Yeah, Connor had an airbag night. What's an airbag night? Explain to me what an airbag night is.
It's like a night where you had a dream and you didn't like it, so you keep worrying about it.
So my son had a dream that he was worried about, right? And then how did we get past that?
We breathe.
We breathe. You talk to me, right? And then did we talk about something else that to change their thought process? Your thinking? What did you do? You tell me. You breathe. You talk to me. He was having a little moment. And he had a dream he didn't want to have, right? And what was the dream about?
It was about an airbag.
It was about an airbag that he didn't want to know about. Well, what he did is he reset, and he recentered, and then he talked to mommy about it, right? Can you breathe? How are you feeling now, my love?
Good in the morning.
Good in the morning. Oh, that's good. Well, if you guys have anything, if you want to be on, now I'm going to start doing guests, and I'm going to put another bit of music on. And
now I'm going to go.
Thank you for listening to the Mindfully Integrative Show with Dr. Damaris Maria Grossman, family nurse practitioner. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not to substitute for professional medical advice, diagnose, or treat. Always consult your healthcare provider before making changes to your healthcare routine.
Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. If you enjoyed our show, please support us by leaving a mindful review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite streaming platform. Interested in being a guest or more information? Email us at info@mindfullyintegrative.com. For resources mentioned in the show, visit our website at www.mindfullyintegrative.com. You can also connect mindfully with Dr. Damaris on her social media links found on the site. May your strength and peace guide you to find a mindful way every day. Namaste.